Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Science. Love is one of the only experiences that can completely rewire your brain without you even noticing it. It changes your heart rate, your sleep patterns, your decision-making, and even how you experience pain. But here's the strange part. Most of what you think love isn't actually love. It's chemistry, survival programming, and nervous system regulation happening behind the scenes. Tonight, we're going to slowly uncover what love really does inside your body and mind, and why the safest kind of love feels so calming that it can literally help you sleep better. What is love, really? Is it just a strong emotion? Is it an instinct we are born with? Or is it something carefully built into our biology? Most people think love is a magical feeling that simply appears. But if we slow down and look closer, love starts to look more like a system than a mystery. It affects your heart rate, your focus, your sleep, and even your appetite. That means it cannot be just a feeling. Feelings do not change the body this deeply on their own. Scientists have found that love is connected to survival. Humans are not built to live alone for long periods. We need connection to stay mentally and physically healthy. So love may actually be a biological design that helps us bond, cooperate, and build families. If that is true, then the feeling of love might be the surface of something much deeper happening inside your brain and body. Love is not one single emotion. It is a chain reaction that happens step by step inside your brain. When you first notice someone, your brain releases chemicals that increase focus and excitement. This is not random. It is a signal system turning on. First comes attention, then comes reward, then comes bonding. Each stage activates different areas of the brain. Dopamine increases motivation and makes you want to see the person again. Oxytocin increases trust and closeness when you spend time together. Over time, these repeated chemical signals create attachment. That means love is more like a process than a moment. It builds through repeated experiences. This is why love can grow stronger or fade depending on how two people interact. If love is a sequence of events, then the real question becomes, what are the main stages your brain moves through before love becomes stable? Scientists often explain love in three main stages: attraction, infatuation, and attachment. Attraction is the first spark. It is mostly based on physical features, voice, smell, and first impressions. Your brain quickly scans for signals of health and compatibility. Then comes infatuation. This stage feels intense. You think about the person often. Your brain increases dopamine and lowers serotonin, which can make your thoughts feel almost obsessive. This stage creates excitement and strong focus, but it does not last forever. If the relationship continues, the brain shifts into attachment. This stage feels calmer. Oxytocin and vasopressin help build long-term bonding. You feel safe, not just excited. This is the stage that supports long-term relationships. So when people say love changes over time, they are right. The brain actually changes its chemical pattern. But why does romantic love feel so different from close friendship? Your brain does not treat romantic love the same way it treats friendship. Both involve care and connection, but romantic love activates stronger reward systems. Brain scans show that romantic love lights up areas linked to motivation and desire. Friendship activates bonding areas too, but without the intense reward surge. In romantic love, your brain sees the other person as special and unique. It increases focus on them and reduces attention to others. This selective attention is part of pair bonding. It helps two people form a strong connection. Friendship, on the other hand, allows you to care for many people at once. Romantic love narrows your focus. It pushes your brain to invest deeply in one person. That is why romantic rejection can feel physically painful, while friendship changes often hurt less. If love affects the brain this strongly, imagine what happens when it becomes stable and long-term. Love activates the same reward circuits in the brain that are used for survival. The area that lights up during romantic attraction is the same system that pushes you to seek food, water, and safety. This system releases dopamine, a chemical that increases motivation and focus. That is why love can feel powerful and hard to ignore. Your brain treats the person almost like a reward it must pursue. From an evolutionary view, this makes sense. Bonding helped humans raise children and survive in groups. So the brain built love into the same system that keeps you alive. It is not just a sweet feeling. It is tied to survival programming. When you understand this, love starts to look less random and more designed. But if love uses the same system as survival, why does early love feel so intense and full of energy? Early love feels energizing because your brain is in a high alert reward state. Dopamine levels rise, and this increases focus, excitement, and drive. You may notice you need less sleep, think about the person often, and feel more motivated in general. This happens because your brain is treating the connection as something important to secure. Stress hormones can also rise slightly, which adds to the alert feeling. That is why early love can feel thrilling instead of peaceful. Your body is not relaxing. It is preparing and paying close attention. This stage is about pursuit and building connection. It is designed to create momentum. But this high-energy state cannot last forever. The brain cannot stay in constant excitement without feeling exhausted. So what happens next when the intensity begins to settle? As relationships continue, the brain slowly shifts from excitement-based love to stability-based love. The strong dopamine spikes begin to balance out. Instead of feeling alert and energized all the time, you start feeling calm and secure. This change is not a sign that love is fading. It is a sign that attachment is forming. Oxytocin and vasopressin begin to play a stronger role than dopamine. These chemicals support bonding and long-term trust. The relationship moves from chasing to maintaining. Instead of wondering how the other person feels, you begin to feel confident in the connection. Many people misunderstand this shift. They think the calmer feeling means something is wrong. In reality, the brain is moving into a more stable phase. But stability does not appear by chance. It forms through repeated experiences. So how exactly does attachment build over time? Attachment forms through repeated safe interactions. Each time someone responds with kindness, listens, or shows consistency, your brain records it. Over time, these positive experiences lower fear and increase trust. The nervous system begins to relax around that person. This is important because humans are wired to detect danger. When someone becomes predictable in a good way, your brain reduces stress responses. Oxytocin strengthens this sense of safety. Small actions matter more than big gestures. Regular communication, honesty, and emotional support slowly build attachment. It does not happen overnight. It grows through patterns. That is why unstable behavior can weaken attachment, while steady behavior strengthens it. Attachment is not built on intensity. It is built on reliability. When the brain feels safe again and again, it begins to bond deeply. And once that bond forms, love changes in powerful ways. Humans likely evolved pair bonding because raising children requires long-term care. Unlike many animals, human babies are born very dependent. They cannot walk, feed themselves, or protect themselves for years. This long period of care means that cooperation between two adults increased survival chances. When two people stayed bonded, children were more likely to grow safely into adulthood. Over time, the brain developed systems that encouraged long-term connection. Pair bonding was not only about romance. It was about stability, shared resources, and protection. Emotional attachment made people more likely to stay together during hard times. This bonding system also strengthened social groups, which helped early humans survive threats. So love may not just be a feeling for happiness. It may be a biological strategy for survival. If that is true, then love should leave clear signals inside the body. So what exactly happens inside us when love begins? If love evolved as a survival system, then it must involve physical changes in the body. And it does. Love is not invisible inside you. It affects hormones, brain activity, heart rate, and even stress levels. When attraction begins, certain chemicals rise quickly. When attachment forms, different chemicals take control. These changes influence how you think, how you react, and how you feel around someone. Even your immune system can respond differently when you are in a stable relationship. This shows that love is not just emotional, it is biological. Your body prepares for connection by adjusting its internal balance. Blood pressure can lower in safe relationships. Stress hormones can decrease over time. These are measurable effects. So the next question becomes very specific. Which chemical starts the process when you first feel attracted to someone? Dopamine plays a key role in early attraction. It is the same chemical involved in reward and motivation. When you meet someone you are drawn to, dopamine levels increase. This makes you feel excited and focused. It pushes you to seek more interaction with that person. Dopamine does not create calm. It creates drive. That is why early attraction can feel intense and full of energy. Your brain begins to link the person with reward. Each positive interaction strengthens that link. This process increases attention and memory related to them. You may replay conversations in your mind or look forward to seeing them again. Dopamine helps build that strong desire. But dopamine alone cannot create deep bonding. It starts the chase, but something else builds the connection that lasts. So what chemical helps transform attraction into attachment? Oxytocin is often called the bonding hormone because it supports trust and closeness. It is released during physical touch, eye contact, and positive social interaction. When two people spend time together in a safe way, oxytocin levels rise. This chemical helps reduce fear and increase feelings of comfort. It encourages the brain to associate the other person with safety. Oxytocin also plays a role in parent-child bonding, which shows how powerful it is for attachment. Unlike dopamine, which drives pursuit, oxytocin supports staying. It helps shift the relationship from excitement to connection. Over time, repeated oxytocin release strengthens emotional ties. This is why small acts like holding hands or sitting close can deepen bonds. The brain slowly builds a sense of security around that person. And once security forms, love begins to feel stable instead of intense. Vasopressin is another hormone that plays a strong role in long-term loyalty. While dopamine creates excitement and oxytocin builds closeness, vasopressin supports commitment and protective behavior. Studies on animals show that higher vasopressin levels are linked to stronger pair bonding and staying with one partner. In humans, this hormone is connected to feelings of responsibility and long-term attachment. It helps create a sense that the relationship matters and should be protected. Vasopressin also influences territorial behavior, which can explain why people sometimes feel protective of someone they love. This hormone strengthens the idea of us instead of just me. It does not create butterflies. It creates stability. Over time, vasopressin supports routines, shared goals, and loyalty. That means long-term love is not powered by excitement alone. It is supported by biology that encourages staying connected even after the early thrill fades. Serotonin is a chemical that helps regulate mood, focus, and emotional balance. In early love, serotonin levels can actually decrease. This may sound surprising, but lower serotonin is linked to obsessive thinking. That is one reason why people in early infatuation often think about the other person constantly. The brain becomes highly focused. Small details feel important. Messages are reread. Conversations are replayed in the mind. This shift can make early love feel overwhelming. It is not just emotion. It is chemistry changing your mental patterns. As the relationship stabilizes, serotonin levels usually return to normal and thoughts become more balanced. This is why early love feels consuming, while long-term love feels steady. The brain moves from obsession toward emotional regulation. But when chemicals shift like this, they also affect judgment. So what happens to logical thinking during strong infatuation? Infatuation can temporarily reduce logical thinking because the brain's reward system becomes more active than the reasoning system. The prefrontal cortex, which helps with judgment and decision-making, shows lower activity during intense romantic attraction. At the same time, reward centers are highly active. This imbalance makes people focus more on positive traits and overlook flaws. It is not that logic disappears completely. It simply becomes less dominant. The brain is prioritizing bonding over careful analysis. From a survival view, this helps create strong initial connections. But it can also explain why people sometimes make quick emotional decisions in early love. As attachment forms and chemical levels balance, clear thinking improves again. The mind becomes calmer and more realistic. But bonding does not rely only on internal chemicals. Simple actions like eye contact can also change what happens inside your body. Eye contact is one of the strongest nonverbal signals humans use to build connection. When two people maintain soft, steady eye contact, oxytocin levels can increase. This helps strengthen trust and closeness. Eye contact also activates parts of the brain involved in social understanding. It signals attention and presence. When someone looks at you fully, your brain registers that you matter in that moment. This reduces feelings of isolation. In romantic situations, longer eye contact can increase attraction and emotional bonding. Even heart rates can begin to align during sustained connection. Eye contact is simple, but its effect is powerful. It creates a silent form of communication that words cannot replace. Over time, repeated moments of focused attention strengthen attachment. This shows that bonding is not only about big actions. Small signals, repeated often, slowly build deep connection inside the brain. Physical touch has a direct effect on stress levels in the body. When someone you trust holds your hand, hugs you, or gently touches your arm, your body reduces cortisol. Cortisol is the main stress hormone. High levels of it are linked to anxiety, poor sleep, and tension in the muscles. Safe touch sends a signal to your nervous system that you are not in danger. This signal allows the body to relax. At the same time, oxytocin increases, which strengthens feelings of trust and calm. This is why a simple hug can feel comforting during a hard day. The body responds before you even think about it. Touch is not just emotional, it is physical regulation. Over time, regular positive touch can lower overall stress levels, but touch does more than reduce stress. It can also influence something as basic as your blood pressure. Cuddling has measurable effects on blood pressure. When two people sit or lie close together in a relaxed way, their bodies shift into a calmer state. Heart rate slows down. Muscles relax. Blood vessels widen slightly, which helps reduce pressure inside them. This is partly due to oxytocin and partly due to reduced cortisol. The nervous system moves away from alert mode and into rest mode. Doctors call this the parasympathetic state, which supports recovery and healing. This is one reason why people in stable relationships often show better heart health over time. The body feels supported, not alone. Cuddling may look simple, but it triggers a chain reaction that affects the whole system. It helps the body settle. But bonding is not only built through touch. Even laughter shared between two people changes breathing and connection in surprising ways. When two people laugh together, their breathing patterns often begin to match. Laughter forces short, repeated breaths, and when shared, both people naturally adjust to the same rhythm. This creates a subtle form of physical synchronization. At the same time, laughter releases endorphins, which are natural chemicals that improve mood and reduce discomfort. Shared laughter also increases feelings of closeness because it shows that both people understand the same moment. The brain interprets this as social alignment. Breathing together, even without noticing it, strengthens connection. It signals that both nervous systems are responding in a similar way. Over time, these small shared moments build trust and comfort. But here is something important to consider. If love has all these biological benefits, why does some love feel peaceful while other relationships feel stressful and chaotic? Biology alone cannot explain that difference. Biology explains how bonding happens, but it does not explain why some relationships feel safe while others feel unstable. Two people can experience attraction and chemical reactions, yet still feel anxious or uncertain. This is because love is not controlled by hormones alone. Past experiences, personality patterns, and communication styles also shape how love feels. If someone grew up in an unpredictable environment, their nervous system may stay alert even in a relationship. If communication is unclear or inconsistent, stress can remain high despite physical closeness. The body responds not just to touch, but to behavior patterns over time. Stability builds calm. Uncertainty builds tension. So while biology sets the foundation, emotional safety decides whether love feels relaxing or chaotic. To understand this difference fully, we need to look beyond chemicals and explore how the nervous system reacts to safety and threat in relationships. Love can be understood as nervous system regulation. Your nervous system is always scanning the world for danger or safety. It does this automatically, even when you are not aware of it. When you are alone, your body manages stress by itself. But when you are close to someone you trust, your nervous system begins to adjust to their presence. If they are calm, your body often becomes calmer too. If they are tense, you may feel tension as well. This process is called co-regulation. It means two nervous systems influence each other. In healthy love, this regulation helps lower stress and increase stability. Over time, your body learns that being near this person means safety. That feeling is not just emotional, it is physical. If love is really about nervous system regulation, then the key question becomes simple. What makes a partner feel safe enough to calm your body? A safe partner reduces fight or flight activation by being consistent and predictable. The fight or flight response is controlled by the stress system. It prepares you to react to danger by increasing heart rate and alertness. In unstable relationships, this system may stay active. You might feel tense, unsure, or overly alert. But when a partner communicates clearly, keeps promises, and responds with care, your brain begins to relax. The stress response lowers because there is no threat signal. Cortisol decreases and breathing becomes slower. Over time, this pattern teaches your body that the relationship is not dangerous. Safety is built through repeated calm experiences. When someone reacts without aggression or sudden mood changes, your nervous system feels less pressure. But safety goes even deeper inside the brain. It affects a small structure that plays a powerful role in fear. The amygdala is a small part of the brain that detects threats. It reacts quickly to anything that feels unsafe. In relationships, the amygdala can become active if there is conflict, rejection, or uncertainty. In secure attachment, this area becomes less reactive over time. Brain studies show that people in stable relationships often have lower amygdala activation when facing stress. This means they feel less fear in daily life. A secure partner becomes a signal of protection. When your brain associates someone with safety, the amygdala does not stay on high alert. This creates emotional stability. You feel more balanced and less defensive. But the opposite can also happen. If signals are mixed or inconsistent, the amygdala may stay active. That leads to anxiety. So why does unpredictability create so much tension in relationships? Unpredictability increases anxiety because the brain dislikes uncertainty. When you do not know how someone will react, your nervous system prepares for possible danger. This keeps stress hormones higher than normal. Even small changes in tone or behavior can trigger worry. The brain tries to predict patterns. When patterns are unclear, it stays alert. In relationships, this can feel like overthinking or constant concern. You may replay conversations or search for hidden meanings. The stress system does not fully relax because it cannot trust the environment. Over time, this constant alertness can become exhausting. Stable love works differently. It creates clear patterns. You know how the other person will respond most of the time. That predictability lowers anxiety. The body does not need to stay ready for threat. It can finally settle into calm instead of tension. Consistency in a relationship builds neurological trust because the brain learns to expect safety over time. When someone repeatedly acts in predictable, caring ways, your nervous system recognizes these patterns as non-threatening. Promises kept, regular communication, and reliable support signal to your brain that the other person is safe to rely on. This reduces the constant activation of stress pathways, allowing you to relax physically and emotionally. Over time, the brain stores these experiences as a reliable pattern, making attachment stronger. Inconsistent behavior, on the other hand, keeps the nervous system on alert, creating anxiety and mistrust. Consistency does not have to be grand gestures. Small, repeated actions, checking in, listening attentively, or showing care, have a cumulative effect. This is why relationships that may seem ordinary on the surface can feel deeply safe and comforting. The brain begins to trust the environment, which allows love to feel stable and secure. But trust is not built by actions alone. The way words are delivered matters too. Tone of voice plays a crucial role in emotional safety. Even when the words are kind, a sharp or tense tone can trigger the brain's threat system. The nervous system responds not just to meaning, but to how something is said. A calm, steady, and gentle voice signals that no danger is present. This lowers cortisol, slows heart rate, and helps the brain feel safe. Over time, repeated exposure to safe tones reinforces trust and attachment. Conversely, sudden loudness, sarcasm, or harshness can spike stress levels, even if the words are neutral. The effect is subtle but powerful. Partners may not always realize how their tone influences emotional responses, but the brain does. A supportive, calm tone becomes a nonverbal signal of reliability. It reassures the nervous system in a way words alone cannot. Safe communication is as much about delivery as content, shaping how attachment develops and how love feels secure over time. Calm conflict resolution strengthens bonds because it shows the brain that disagreements do not signal danger. All couples face disagreements, but how they are handled determines whether trust grows or erodes. When arguments happen without yelling, blame, or hostility, the nervous system recognizes that safety remains intact. This allows both partners to process emotions and find solutions without triggering fight-or-flight responses. Over time, calmly resolving conflicts builds a sense of stability and predictability. It also models problem-solving skills, emotional regulation, and mutual respect. The brain begins to associate disagreements with learning and connection rather than threat. This strengthens attachment and reinforces that the relationship can withstand challenges. Calm conflict resolution also increases empathy, helping both partners understand each other's perspective. The small nervous system response to safety during disagreements accumulates over time, creating a stronger, more resilient bond. Physical closeness can further enhance this effect, making the body and mind feel connected even during difficult moments. Long hugs physically regulate heart rate by activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and recovery. When two people hold each other for an extended period, the body interprets the touch as a signal of safety. This reduces stress hormone levels, slows the heartbeat, and relaxes muscles. Hugs also trigger oxytocin release, which strengthens emotional bonding and increases feelings of comfort. The combined effect creates a physiological sense of calm, making both partners feel more secure and emotionally connected. Extended hugs also synchronize breathing and subtle body rhythms, further promoting relaxation. Even brief but intentional physical contact can influence heart rate and reduce tension, showing that love has measurable effects on the body. These physiological responses are why a hug can sometimes feel more reassuring than words. Physical closeness, when combined with emotional trust, creates a feedback loop that reinforces attachment, reduces stress, and supports long-term bonding. Sleeping next to someone has a surprising impact on stress hormones. When you share a bed with a partner you trust, cortisol, the hormone responsible for stress, tends to decrease. Your body interprets the presence of a safe person as a signal that the environment is secure, so the nervous system can relax. Melatonin, which regulates sleep, also improves because the body is in a calmer state. Over time, this helps you fall asleep faster, stay in deeper sleep, and wake up feeling more rested. Sleeping close to someone also triggers oxytocin release, increasing feelings of closeness and comfort. Even subtle touches, like a hand on the arm or a gentle movement in bed, reinforce safety. The combined effect of reduced stress and increased bonding chemicals shows that physical proximity is more than comfort. It's biological support for emotional stability. This explains why people often feel more at peace after sleeping near someone they trust. But while physical safety is essential, emotional connection plays an equally important role in love. Safety is the foundation of love, but emotional connection is what gives it depth and meaning. Feeling secure near someone is not enough if there is no understanding, empathy, or shared emotional space. Emotional connection allows two people to communicate vulnerabilities, share thoughts, and feel understood without judgment. It strengthens trust, but in a different way than physical safety. While biology provides the groundwork for attachment, emotions shape the quality of the bond. Without emotional connection, relationships may feel cold or transactional, even if the body is relaxed. Conversely, strong emotional connection enhances the calming effects of safety by deepening trust and closeness. The brain begins to associate the partner not only with survival, but also with comfort, acceptance, and understanding. Emotional connection explains why some relationships feel enriching while others, despite safety, feel empty. To understand how emotional connection works, we need to look at attachment styles. Attachment styles are patterns that describe how people relate to others in love. There are three main types: secure, anxious, and avoidant. Secure attachment forms when a person grows up with consistent and responsive caregivers. These people usually feel comfortable with intimacy and trust. Anxious attachment develops when care is inconsistent. People with this style may feel clingy, worry about rejection, or seek constant reassurance. Avoidant attachment forms when caregivers were distant or rejecting. These individuals may avoid closeness, suppress emotions, or struggle with commitment. Understanding attachment styles helps explain why people experience love differently, even in similar situations. These patterns influence how someone reacts to stress, communicates, and builds trust in relationships. Attachment is not destiny. Awareness and practice can help people develop healthier patterns. But attachment styles do not appear randomly. They are shaped early in life. Childhood bonding plays a crucial role in shaping adult love patterns. The way caregivers respond to needs, comfort distress, and show consistency teaches the brain how relationships work. Children who experience reliable, warm care tend to develop secure attachment as adults. They learn that people can be trusted and intimacy is safe. Inconsistent or neglectful care can lead to anxious or avoidant patterns. For example, a child whose emotional needs were unpredictable may grow into an adult who fears abandonment or struggles to open up. Childhood experiences form mental and emotional templates that guide expectations in adult relationships. These patterns are not permanent, but they strongly influence how people connect, communicate, and feel safe. Understanding the impact of early bonding provides insight into why love can feel effortless for some and challenging for others. It shows that emotional connection builds on a foundation formed long before adulthood. Vulnerability deepens intimacy because it allows people to show their true selves without fear of judgment. When someone shares their fears, doubts, or insecurities, it signals trust. The brain responds to this openness by releasing oxytocin, which strengthens bonding and increases feelings of safety. Vulnerability encourages reciprocity. When one person opens up, the other often does too, creating a cycle of connection. It also helps partners understand each other's inner world, making the relationship feel more genuine and supportive. Without vulnerability, interactions may remain surface level, limiting emotional depth. Showing vulnerability does not mean oversharing constantly. It means revealing meaningful aspects of yourself in a safe environment. Over time, these moments accumulate, creating a strong emotional bond. The brain begins to associate the partner with safety, understanding, and support. This makes intimacy feel secure rather than risky. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the key mechanism that transforms simple companionship into deep emotional connection. Emotional validation strengthens relationships by letting someone know their feelings are seen and accepted. When a partner listens and responds without judgment, it signals that emotions are safe to express. The brain interprets this as a sign of security, reducing stress hormones and increasing trust. Validation does not mean agreeing with everything. It means acknowledging the other person's perspective as real and important. For example, saying, "I understand that this upset you," allows the nervous system to relax. Over time, consistent validation builds confidence and emotional safety. Couples who practice validation tend to have stronger communication, fewer conflicts, and deeper bonds. It creates a feedback loop. Feeling heard and understood encourages openness, which strengthens attachment. Emotional validation also prevents resentment from building because feelings are acknowledged instead of ignored. The nervous system learns that sharing emotions leads to support rather than danger. This makes love feel safer, more predictable, and deeply satisfying. Feeling heard activates reward pathways in the brain because social recognition is linked to survival. When someone listens attentively and responds appropriately, the brain releases dopamine, signaling pleasure and motivation. This reward encourages repeated behavior. Sharing and listening become reinforcing. Feeling heard also strengthens oxytocin release, which builds trust and attachment. In relationships, people who feel understood are more likely to engage openly and invest emotionally. Even subtle signs of listening, like eye contact, nodding, or verbal acknowledgement, trigger these reward pathways. Over time, the brain associates the partner with positive emotional experiences, creating a cycle of bonding. This is why arguments often feel less harmful when both partners feel heard. It is not just comfort, it is biological reinforcement that strengthens attachment. Feeling heard helps couples build shared understanding and predictability, which are key components of stable, lasting love. Shared experiences build relational memory because the brain records events that involve connection and emotion together. When two people explore, travel, or face challenges together, the brain links the experience with the partner's presence. These memories act as reference points, reinforcing the bond. Later, recalling these experiences triggers oxytocin and dopamine, creating a sense of closeness even when apart. Relational memory also helps the brain predict how the partner will respond in future situations, which increases trust and safety. Shared experiences do not need to be extraordinary. Small routines, inside jokes, or simple activities repeated over time have the same effect. Over months and years, these accumulated experiences create a rich web of shared meaning, making the relationship feel secure and unique. The brain uses these memories to strengthen attachment, making both partners more resilient to stress and more confident in their connection. Shared experience is, in essence, the brain's way of cementing love. Couples often create their own internal language because it allows them to communicate quickly and privately. This language can be made up of words, phrases, gestures, or even looks that only the two people understand. The brain interprets these signals as special, signaling exclusivity and closeness. When partners use this language, it strengthens trust because it shows a shared understanding that outsiders do not have. Internal language also reduces misunderstandings, allowing partners to convey complex feelings in simple ways. Over time, these private cues build a unique pattern of connection that reinforces the bond. The brain associates the partner with safety, intimacy, and understanding whenever these signals are used. This also creates positive emotional reinforcement because using the shared language produces small bursts of pleasure and oxytocin. In essence, internal language becomes a tool for building intimacy, making the relationship feel uniquely secure and connected. It's a simple practice with a powerful neurological impact. Inside jokes strengthen bonding because they create shared meaning and positive emotional experiences. When two people laugh at something that only they understand, it signals a sense of us against the world. This shared humor releases dopamine and oxytocin, which enhances feelings of closeness and trust. Inside jokes also serve as reminders of positive interactions, creating mental shortcuts to feelings of safety and happiness. Over time, these repeated experiences form relational memory, which the brain uses to reinforce attachment. They also encourage communication by giving partners a private way to express connection without relying on words alone. Inside jokes reduce stress and create fun, light-hearted moments that balance the seriousness of daily life. The brain begins to associate the partner with joy and comfort, deepening emotional attachment. Even small, repeated instances of shared laughter can significantly strengthen a relationship because they signal understanding, trust, and emotional alignment. Gratitude increases relationship satisfaction because it shifts focus from problems to appreciation. When a partner expresses thanks for small or big actions, it signals recognition and value. The brain responds to gratitude by releasing dopamine and oxytocin, creating pleasure and reinforcing positive behavior. Couples who regularly practice gratitude feel more connected, less critical, and more willing to cooperate. Gratitude also increases emotional safety by showing that efforts are noticed and appreciated. Over time, these moments build a sense of fairness and mutual respect, which reduces conflict. Expressing gratitude encourages reciprocal behavior, creating a feedback loop of kindness and support. Even silently noticing positive actions can strengthen attachment because the brain registers these observations. Relationships where gratitude is present tend to be more stable, resilient, and emotionally fulfilling. In essence, gratitude strengthens love not just emotionally but biologically, reinforcing both connection and satisfaction over time. As love deepens, it begins to affect identity itself. Partners start to influence each other's habits, priorities, and even values. The brain adjusts to accommodate shared experiences and mutual understanding. People often adopt traits, behaviors, or routines of their partner, sometimes without realizing it. This is not loss of self, but integration. The brain merges patterns of interaction to optimize bonding. Emotional and practical support from a partner reinforces behaviors that align with relationship goals. Over time, people may notice subtle changes in their self-perception, confidence, or decision-making style. The nervous system begins to anticipate the partner's needs, which affects planning and emotional responses. Deep love can shift how you see yourself in the world because your brain adapts to maintain harmony and trust. Identity becomes intertwined with the relationship, creating a sense of we rather than just me. This process strengthens long-term attachment, making love not only an emotion but a guiding force in how life is lived and experienced. Partners influence each other's habits because humans are naturally social creatures. When you spend a lot of time with someone, their routines, preferences, and behaviors begin to affect your own. For example, if your partner exercises regularly, eats healthier, or reads often, you are more likely to adopt similar habits. The brain learns from repeated exposure, creating neural patterns that align with the behaviors of those close to you. This happens unconsciously and strengthens attachment because shared routines increase predictability and trust. Habits can also shift in response to emotional connection. Being with someone supportive encourages positive behaviors, while conflict or stress may reinforce negative ones. Over time, this mutual influence becomes part of the relational identity. The brain begins to associate these shared habits with safety and pleasure, which reinforces both the behavior and the bond. This explains why long-term partners often become more similar over time, not just emotionally, but in daily life patterns. Love expands one's sense of self because deep connection encourages perspective-taking and empathy. When you are close to someone, your brain constantly processes their thoughts, feelings, and needs alongside your own. This creates a mental framework that extends beyond me to include we. You begin to integrate their experiences, values, and priorities into your own identity. Shared experiences and mutual understanding encourage growth in areas you might not have explored alone. Emotionally, this expansion enhances resilience because you feel supported and understood. Neurologically, the brain strengthens pathways associated with empathy, cooperation, and reward. Over time, this leads to a broader sense of self that includes the partner without losing individuality. It explains why couples often report feeling more complete or capable together. Deep love reshapes perception, making the world feel richer, more interconnected, and safer. Connection is not just emotional, it literally changes how the brain constructs identity. Supportive relationships increase confidence because the brain learns to associate the partner with validation and encouragement. When someone consistently recognizes your abilities, listens to your ideas, and affirms your worth, it strengthens self-efficacy, the belief that you can succeed. This support reduces fear of failure and makes risks feel manageable. Neurologically, reward systems activate when a partner offers positive reinforcement, which reinforces confidence. Over time, these experiences create mental habits of self-assurance and resilience. Supportive love also buffers stress, allowing clearer thinking and calmer responses in challenging situations. People in these relationships tend to approach problems proactively rather than reactively. Emotional backing from a trusted partner teaches the brain that you are capable, increasing initiative and persistence. Confidence is not built by praise alone, but by repeated patterns of safety, validation, and encouragement. Supportive love essentially trains the nervous system and brain to feel secure and competent in navigating life. Secure love improves decision-making because the brain is not constantly consumed by stress or uncertainty. When a partner provides reliability and trust, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and planning, can function optimally. Stress hormones like cortisol are lower, allowing clearer thinking, better impulse control, and more balanced choices. In contrast, insecure relationships often keep the brain in a hyperalert state, prioritizing threat detection over rational thought. Secure attachment allows reflection and perspective taking, which improves problem solving and long-term planning. Over time, the brain associates thoughtful decision-making with safety and collaboration, making it easier to approach challenges without fear or anxiety. Secure love also encourages honest communication, reducing misunderstandings that might cloud judgment. The combination of reduced stress, increased trust, and emotional support creates an environment where the brain can make more effective, confident choices. In this way, stable love is not just comforting, it actively enhances cognitive functioning. Emotional support enhances risk-taking because the brain perceives safety when a trusted partner is present. When someone knows that their partner will provide comfort and understanding, the stress response decreases, allowing the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning and evaluating options, to work more effectively. With reduced fear signals and increased confidence, people are more willing to try new things, take on challenges, or pursue opportunities they might otherwise avoid. Oxytocin and dopamine reinforce these behaviors, creating positive feedback loops. The nervous system interprets the partner's presence as protection, reducing anxiety about potential failure. Over time, repeated experiences of supported risk-taking expand confidence and competence. This shows why people in stable, emotionally supportive relationships often pursue ambitious goals or explore new experiences. Emotional support doesn't just make love feel safe. It literally allows the brain to take calculated risks that promote growth, learning, and shared success, strengthening both personal development and the relationship itself. Couples influence long-term goals because shared lives encourage alignment in priorities and planning. Partners naturally discuss the future, from finances to career decisions, family planning, and personal growth. The brain integrates these conversations into decision-making processes, adjusting motivation and focus toward mutual objectives. This influence can be subtle, such as adopting healthier habits, or significant, like choosing career paths that support joint goals. Shared accountability makes it easier to stay committed to long-term plans. Emotional and practical support reinforces motivation, while trust reduces uncertainty, allowing the brain to focus on strategy rather than threat. Over time, couples co-create a vision of the future, strengthening both attachment and cooperation. This collaborative planning also enhances communication and problem-solving skills, as partners navigate trade-offs and compromises together. In essence, love reshapes individual aspirations by merging them into shared goals, creating alignment that promotes stability, satisfaction, and long-term relational success. People in stable relationships show improved resilience because their nervous systems spend less time in constant alert. A reliable partner provides emotional and practical support, lowering stress hormones and freeing the brain to focus on solutions rather than survival. With predictable safety, the prefrontal cortex can process challenges calmly, and the amygdala is less reactive to perceived threats. This makes setbacks feel manageable rather than overwhelming. Over time, repeated experiences of trust and problem-solving together strengthen coping skills. Stable love provides a safety net, encouraging exploration and learning even during adversity. Individuals feel more confident in their ability to recover from stress because they know support is available. This enhanced resilience is not just emotional, it is physiological, as the body learns that challenges can be faced without constant hyperalertness. Stable relationships, therefore, not only improve emotional well-being, but also strengthen the mind and body's capacity to handle life's difficulties. Love can reshape personal fears because safe, supportive relationships provide repeated experiences of security in the presence of potential threats. When a partner encourages facing fears or offers comfort during stressful situations, the brain slowly learns that the feared event is not catastrophic. Over time, the amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers fear, becomes less reactive to similar challenges. Oxytocin released through connection and trust reinforces the feeling of safety, making the nervous system more adaptable. This process allows people to tackle anxieties they might have avoided alone, from social situations to new experiences or personal vulnerabilities. Shared experiences create a feedback loop, teaching the brain that even uncertainty or risk can be managed. As fears are repeatedly confronted with support, confidence grows and the emotional response weakens. Love, in this way, acts as a form of emotional training, reshaping personal fears while strengthening attachment, resilience, and overall well-being. Accountability in love promotes maturity because it encourages individuals to take responsibility for their actions and consider the impact on their partner. When someone knows that their words and behaviors affect another person they care about, the brain engages reasoning and reflection. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and self-control, becomes more active, helping people think before acting. This reduces impulsive behavior and encourages thoughtful problem-solving. Accountability also strengthens trust, as partners learn that commitments and promises are taken seriously. Over time, repeated experiences of being responsible and reliable build emotional intelligence, patience, and empathy. The nervous system begins to respond to challenges with calm rather than reactivity, because the relationship provides a framework of safety and expectation. Mature responses become habitual, not forced. In essence, Love creates a structured environment where growth is reinforced neurologically and behaviorally, promoting emotional stability, better communication, and stronger long-term bonds between partners. Over time, love changes the brain in measurable ways. Long-term connections alter neural pathways, hormone patterns, and stress responses. Brain imaging studies show that partners who have been together for years display different activity in areas related to reward, trust, and attachment compared to people in new or unstable relationships. The nervous system becomes more efficient at recognizing safety signals, which reduces chronic stress. Hormonal responses also adjust. Oxytocin and vasopressin maintain bonding, while dopamine shifts from intense spikes to steady patterns that support long-term motivation and connection. These changes are not only emotional, they are physiological, affecting heart rate, sleep quality, and even immune function. Over months and years, the brain essentially learns the rhythms of the relationship, creating predictability and comfort. Love becomes embedded in daily patterns of thought, emotion, and behavior. This shows that enduring love is not just a feeling. It literally reshapes how the brain processes social connection, reward, and security. Long-term couples show stable dopamine patterns because the initial intense spikes of attraction level out into consistent, moderate release. Early love triggers high dopamine activity, creating excitement and obsession. Over time, as attachment strengthens, the brain maintains a balanced dopamine level that encourages motivation and pleasure without constant hyperarousal. This steady pattern supports long-term engagement, focus, and satisfaction in the relationship. It also prevents the exhaustion and anxiety associated with intense early attraction. The brain begins to associate the partner with predictable reward and comfort, which reinforces trust and emotional security. This does not mean passion disappears. Rather, it becomes sustainable and reliable. Stable dopamine patterns help couples invest in daily life together, pursue shared goals, and maintain intimacy without the volatility of new love highs and lows. Neurologically, the relationship moves from chasing excitement to maintaining connection, which strengthens the bond and supports long-term satisfaction and resilience. Familiarity reduces stress responses because the brain interprets repeated exposure to a trusted partner as a signal of safety. When someone is predictable, consistent, and emotionally reliable, the nervous system does not need to remain on high alert. Cortisol levels decrease, heart rate stabilizes, and the amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes less reactive. This allows the prefrontal cortex to function efficiently, supporting thoughtful decision-making and emotional regulation. Familiarity also strengthens relational memory, reinforcing patterns of comfort, trust, and positive expectation. Over time, the body and brain respond automatically to the presence of a familiar partner with relaxation and calm. Even minor interactions, like shared routines or habitual gestures, reinforce these safety cues. This explains why long-term relationships often feel comfortable and grounding. The brain adapts to predict patterns of connection, making love not only emotionally satisfying but physiologically calming, creating a stable foundation for attachment, trust, and long-term well-being. Long-term bonding increases empathy because spending years with someone allows the brain to finely tune to their emotional signals. Through repeated interaction, partners learn to recognize subtle expressions, tone shifts, and body language, even before words are spoken. The brain's mirror neuron system, which helps us understand others' feelings, becomes more active and sensitive in these relationships. Experiencing each other's ups and downs over time reinforces emotional understanding, creating a feedback loop of care and responsiveness. This means that long-term partners can anticipate needs, comfort each other effectively, and respond to stress in ways that reduce tension. Empathy strengthens attachment because the nervous system interprets understanding as safety and trust. It also encourages patience, perspective-taking, and compromise. Over years, the ability to feel what the partner feels becomes almost instinctive. In essence, deep love rewires the brain to connect more fully with another person, allowing emotional intelligence to grow alongside intimacy and reinforcing the stability and satisfaction of the relationship. Stable love improves sleep quality because the brain perceives a trusted partner as a safety signal. When a partner is reliable and comforting, cortisol levels decrease, and melatonin regulation improves, which promotes deeper, more restorative sleep. The nervous system no longer needs to remain alert for potential threats, allowing the body to enter a relaxed state. Oxytocin released through touch or proximity further supports calm and lowers stress, helping both partners fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Over time, repeated exposure to safe, supportive presence at night creates strong associations between the partner and relaxation. Couples in stable relationships often experience synchronized sleep cycles and fewer disturbances caused by anxiety or hypervigilance. Even small cues, like hearing a partner breathe steadily, can signal safety to the nervous system. This shows that love does not just provide emotional security, it affects physiology directly. Good sleep enhances mood, cognitive function, and emotional regulation, which in turn strengthens attachment and overall relationship health. Shared routines create neurological comfort because the brain thrives on predictability and familiarity. When couples repeat daily patterns, such as eating meals together, walking in the evening, or talking at specific times, the nervous system interprets these as signals of stability and safety. This reduces stress responses and frees cognitive resources for deeper connection and problem solving. Repetition strengthens relational memory, creating positive associations between the partner and comfort. The brain begins to anticipate interactions, which makes the relationship feel effortless and secure. Shared routines also reinforce trust because reliability and consistency signal that the partner can be counted on. Over time, even mundane activities become bonding opportunities, releasing small amounts of oxytocin and reinforcing emotional closeness. This neurological comfort is why long-term couples often report that their relationship feels like a safe home, where both emotional and physical needs are met consistently. Routines shape the rhythm of love as much as extraordinary events. Rituals, like morning coffee together, matter because they provide repeated opportunities for connection, signaling reliability and presence. The brain interprets these small, predictable moments as safety cues, which lowers stress hormones and increases oxytocin. Rituals also create shared experiences that build relational memory, strengthening attachment and familiarity. Even seemingly minor actions serve as markers of care and commitment, showing that both partners prioritize the relationship. Over time, these moments accumulate, creating a sense of continuity and stability. Rituals also help synchronize routines, moods, and expectations, reducing friction in daily life. Psychologically, they act as reminders of connection during busy or stressful periods, providing comfort and reassurance. Neurologically, repeated rituals train the brain to associate the partner with pleasure, security, and consistency. This shows why long-term relationships often thrive not just on big gestures, but on small, meaningful routines that reinforce love and deepen the bond over time. Long-term love reduces loneliness hormones because consistent connection signals the brain that social needs are being met. Hormones like cortisol and vasopressin, which can spike when someone feels isolated, decrease when a partner provides reliable emotional and physical presence. Oxytocin increases, promoting feelings of safety, comfort, and satisfaction. The nervous system no longer interprets solitude as threat, allowing the body to relax more frequently. Over time, the brain associates the partner's presence with stability and belonging, reducing the biological need for constant social vigilance. This explains why people in secure, long-term relationships often feel less anxious when alone. They carry the sense of connection internally. Even small gestures like messages, shared activities, or gentle touch reinforce this effect by providing repeated reassurance. Neurologically, love rewires the body's response to loneliness, transforming what might once trigger stress into a signal of safety. Long-term love, therefore, is not just emotional. It actively reshapes hormonal patterns to support connection and well-being. Trust rewires expectation patterns because the brain constantly predicts how others will behave. In secure relationships, consistent reliability teaches the nervous system that the partner is safe, reducing hypervigilance and anxiety. The brain's prediction centers, including the prefrontal cortex, begin to expect supportive behavior rather than conflict or rejection. Over time, this rewiring changes emotional responses. Instead of preparing for betrayal or disappointment, the body anticipates safety and cooperation. This allows the brain to focus on positive interactions and problem solving rather than monitoring for threats. Trust also strengthens attachment by making closeness feel reliable, encouraging deeper vulnerability and intimacy. Conversely, in relationships with inconsistent behavior, the nervous system stays alert, keeping stress high and predicting negative outcomes. By rewiring expectations through repeated reliability, trust creates a feedback loop where emotional safety reinforces connection and reduces fear responses. In this way, the brain adapts to see love as dependable rather than unpredictable or risky. Emotional predictability strengthens attachment because the brain prefers patterns it can anticipate. When a partner consistently responds in caring and understanding ways, the nervous system interprets this as safety, allowing stress hormones to decrease and attachment hormones to increase. Predictable emotional behavior reduces uncertainty and helps regulate both partners' emotions, making interactions feel secure rather than volatile. This stability encourages openness, vulnerability, and reciprocity, which are essential for deep bonding. Over time, repeated predictable responses build relational memory, where the brain stores the partner as a reliable source of comfort. Even small, consistent gestures like checking in, responding to messages thoughtfully, or calmly handling disagreements reinforce this pattern. Emotional predictability signals that intimacy is safe, which reduces anxiety and strengthens trust. Essentially, the brain rewards the pattern of reliable care, making the attachment stronger. Relationships with emotional predictability feel calmer, more connected, and resilient, showing that consistent emotional behavior is as important as affection or excitement in sustaining long-term love. But love is not just internal, it shows externally too. While hormones, attachment, and neurological patterns shape how people feel, the effects of love can be seen in actions, expressions, and shared behaviors. Couples in deep, secure relationships display subtle signals of connection, like synchronized gestures, mirroring body language, or shared routines. These external signs reinforce emotional patterns, creating feedback loops between biology and behavior. Love influences tone of voice, touch, and facial expressions, which in turn affect the partner's nervous system. Over time, These visible cues communicate trust, comfort, and commitment without needing words. External manifestations of love also signal reliability to the wider social environment, strengthening social bonds and support networks. In essence, what begins as internal safety, attachment, and emotional alignment becomes expressed in everyday life, shaping both the relationship and how the world perceives the couple. The brain and body work together to turn private feelings of love into observable actions that reinforce connection. Microexpressions of affection are tiny, often unconscious facial movements that signal love and connection. These can include a quick smile, a softening of the eyes, a slight nod, or a subtle lift of the eyebrows when seeing a partner. The brain's mirror neurons pick up on these signals, triggering feelings of warmth, safety, and pleasure. Even though they happen in milliseconds, microexpressions communicate emotional presence and attentiveness more effectively than words alone. Over time, repeated microexpressions strengthen relational memory, reinforcing attachment and trust. They also serve as nonverbal reassurance, letting the partner know they are noticed and valued. Because these expressions are subtle, they often feel natural and effortless, creating a constant stream of small bonding signals throughout the day. Neuroscience shows that responding to microexpressions releases oxytocin, increasing closeness and reducing stress. These tiny gestures, invisible to most outsiders, carry significant emotional weight, shaping how deeply couples feel connected and understood without even realizing it. Partners unconsciously mirror each other's posture because the brain is wired for social synchronization. When one partner leans forward, crosses legs, or tilts their head, the other often does the same without conscious thought. This mirroring is driven by mirror neurons, which help us understand and empathize with others' emotions. Mirroring posture creates a subtle sense of harmony and connection, signaling that both people are aligned physically and emotionally. It increases comfort and reduces tension, because the nervous system interprets synchronization as safety and agreement. Over time, this unconscious matching becomes a part of the relationship's rhythm, reinforcing relational memory and attachment. Mirroring also communicates attentiveness and empathy non-verbally, making partners feel seen and understood. Even small gestures like matching hand movements or breathing pace contribute to this effect. Neuroscience shows that these behaviors trigger oxytocin release and enhance bonding. In essence, mirroring posture is the body's way of silently saying, "I am with you," deepening connection and trust naturally. Couples adopt similar speech rhythms because long-term interaction tunes the brain to the partner's patterns. This includes tone, pace, pauses, and emphasis. Matching speech rhythms helps the brain process conversation more efficiently, reducing cognitive load and increasing comprehension. It also signals alignment and empathy, creating a subtle sense of closeness. Neurologically, shared rhythms activate reward circuits, making communication feel smoother and more satisfying. Over time, couples develop a shared language flow that reinforces relational memory and emotional connection. Speech synchronization also reduces misunderstandings because the nervous system anticipates how the partner will express themselves. Even small timing adjustments, like pausing after a partner's words or matching tempo, strengthen attachment. This effect is unconscious but powerful, showing how deeply the brain adapts to maintain harmony in relationships. By mirroring speech, couples create a rhythm that feels safe, predictable, and comforting, reinforcing emotional bonds while making daily communication effortless and enjoyable. Shared silence becomes comfortable because the brain learns that being together does not always require constant stimulation. In secure relationships, couples can sit quietly without stress, knowing that the partner's presence signals safety. The nervous system interprets this as a form of trust and calm, reducing cortisol and increasing oxytocin. Comfortable silence allows reflection, emotional regulation, and the strengthening of relational memory. It also signals emotional attunement. The brain recognizes that the partner is present and connected even without verbal communication. Over time, these moments accumulate, creating a sense of ease and intimacy that words cannot always provide. Shared silence fosters deep understanding and patience, demonstrating that connection does not rely on constant action or conversation. It shows that love can be stable, reliable, and grounding. Neurologically and emotionally, comfortable silence reinforces attachment, reduces stress, and creates a unique rhythm in the relationship that strengthens long-term bonds and mutual trust. People instinctively protect those they love because evolution has wired the brain to ensure the survival of close connections. When someone you care about is in danger or distress, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, activates, and the nervous system heightens alertness. This triggers protective behaviors, ranging from physical defense to emotional support. Oxytocin and vasopressin strengthen the drive to maintain the partner's safety, reinforcing attachment. Protecting a loved one is not just about immediate threat. It can include anticipating needs, avoiding conflict, or providing guidance. The brain treats the partner's well-being as part of the self, creating a strong motivational system to ensure safety. Over time, this instinct strengthens trust, emotional closeness, and commitment. Even subtle protective acts, like offering reassurance or monitoring stress, fulfill this neurological pattern. These behaviors show that love is not just a feeling. It is a biological mechanism that encourages care, vigilance, and loyalty, keeping both emotional and physical bonds secure. Love increases patience over time because repeated secure interactions teach the nervous system that delays, mistakes, or misunderstandings do not threaten the relationship. When a partner consistently responds calmly and supportively, the brain learns that it can regulate emotional reactions instead of responding impulsively. This improves the ability to tolerate frustration and setbacks. Oxytocin release during positive interactions reinforces this effect by promoting relaxation and emotional stability. Over months and years, couples practicing empathy and understanding build habits of patience that become almost automatic. The prefrontal cortex strengthens pathways associated with self-control and thoughtful responses. Patience is also reinforced through shared problem-solving, compromise, and repeated reassurance. Neurologically, the brain begins to anticipate calm resolution rather than conflict escalation. This ability to slow reactions and respond thoughtfully deepens attachment and strengthens long-term connection. In essence, love trains the brain to be more tolerant, measured, and emotionally resilient, making relationships more stable and harmonious. Forgiveness becomes easier in secure bonds because the brain interprets the partner's consistency and reliability as a signal that mistakes are not catastrophic. When trust is high, the nervous system responds to conflict with reduced stress and greater prefrontal cortex activation, which supports reasoning and perspective-taking. Secure attachment allows people to see the partner's intentions, recognize shared goals, and weigh the value of the relationship over transient anger. Oxytocin released during reconciliation promotes emotional calm and reinforces bonding. Repeated experiences of understanding and repair strengthen relational memory, creating a pattern where forgiveness is expected and habitual. In secure relationships, the brain prioritizes maintaining connection over punishing missteps. Over time, this reduces resentment and enhances emotional regulation. Forgiveness is not about ignoring wrongs, but about integrating them into a safe and supportive framework. Love, therefore, biologically and psychologically trains people to resolve conflicts effectively, strengthening trust and long-term attachment. Couples co-regulate during stress by influencing each other's nervous systems in real time. When one partner experiences anxiety or tension, the other's calm presence can reduce heart rate, lower cortisol, and activate parasympathetic responses. Subtle cues like tone of voice, gentle touch, or slow breathing signal safety to the nervous system, allowing stress to be shared and managed together. Over time, this co-regulation strengthens emotional resilience and deepens trust, because each partner learns they can rely on the other during challenges. The brain associates the partner's presence with stabilization, not threat. This process also improves empathy and synchrony, as couples anticipate emotional shifts and respond adaptively. Even without words, the body communicates safety and support, reinforcing attachment and emotional security. Co-regulation demonstrates that love is interactive. It is not just about individual feelings, but about shared nervous system patterns that maintain stability, reduce stress, and create a strong, adaptive partnership. Mutual problem-solving deepens respect because it shows that both partners are willing to listen, compromise, and work together toward shared goals. When a couple tackles challenges collaboratively, the brain registers fairness, competence, and reliability. The prefrontal cortex is engaged in planning, reasoning, and perspective-taking, while the nervous system interprets cooperation as safety. This combination reinforces trust and admiration for the partner's abilities and judgment. Over time, repeated experiences of solving conflicts or challenges together strengthen relational memory, creating patterns where respect becomes automatic. Even small decisions like planning a trip or managing household tasks contribute to this effect. Mutual problem-solving also encourages open communication and active listening, reinforcing the sense that each partner's contributions matter. Neurologically, the brain associates collaborative efforts with pleasure and satisfaction, releasing oxytocin and dopamine. This biological reinforcement ensures that working together not only resolves issues but strengthens the emotional bond, making love more stable, resilient, and deeply connected. Love also changes how we experience pain and fear. The brain interprets a trusted partner's presence as a signal of safety, which affects both physical and emotional responses. Pain pathways are less activated, stress hormones decrease, and the nervous system can remain calm even in challenging situations. Oxytocin, released through touch or emotional connection, further reduces perception of discomfort and anxiety. Fear responses, typically triggered by amygdala activity, are modulated when the brain predicts a supportive partner is nearby. This changes how threats are processed, making them feel more manageable and less threatening. Over time, the presence of a partner rewires neural pathways, associating previously stressful or painful experiences with comfort, reassurance, and support. Love, therefore, acts as both a psychological and physiological buffer against discomfort. This explains why people often feel braver, calmer, and more resilient when facing challenges with someone they trust, showing that deep connection literally transforms our experience of pain and fear. Holding hands reduces perceived pain because it activates the brain's safety and reward pathways. When one partner holds another's hand, sensory signals travel through touch receptors to the brain, stimulating oxytocin release and dampening pain processing regions. The nervous system interprets this physical contact as a signal of protection and emotional support, which lowers stress hormone levels and reduces the intensity of pain signals. Even brief hand-holding can create a measurable effect, as the brain shifts focus from discomfort to connection. This effect is stronger in long-term, secure relationships because the partner's presence already signals reliability and safety. Neurological studies show that the brain's pain response areas, like the anterior cingulate cortex, become less active during supportive touch. The act of holding hands does not just comfort emotionally, it literally changes the way the body experiences pain. In this way, love provides a natural, biological buffer that enhances resilience, reduces distress, and strengthens attachment. Supportive presence lowers anxiety because the brain interprets a trusted partner as a source of safety and stability. When someone reliable is nearby, cortisol levels decrease, heart rate stabilizes, and the amygdala's threat response diminishes. The nervous system learns that potential challenges can be faced without hyperalertness because help is available. Even subtle cues like calm breathing, attentive listening, or gentle touch signal reassurance and safety. Over time, these repeated experiences teach the brain that anxiety triggers can be managed collectively, reducing overreaction to stressors. Oxytocin released during supportive interaction enhances emotional regulation and attachment, creating a feedback loop that strengthens both connection and calm. This explains why people often feel braver, more focused, and less overwhelmed in stressful situations when a loved one is present. Supportive presence is not passive. It actively changes the body and brain, making the experience of fear, stress, and uncertainty easier to handle while reinforcing long-term trust and emotional closeness. Emotional reassurance reduces overthinking because it signals to the brain that a situation is safe and the partner is reliable. When someone offers calm, supportive words or gestures, the nervous system interprets this as a reduction of potential threats, lowering cortisol levels and calming the amygdala. Overthinking often occurs when the brain predicts negative outcomes or feels uncertain about relationships, but reassurance provides evidence that fears are manageable. Repeated experiences of validation and comfort teach the brain to trust the partner's presence, reducing rumination and mental tension. Oxytocin released during supportive interactions further enhances relaxation and emotional regulation. Over time, the brain begins to anticipate reassurance rather than worry, making thought patterns calmer and more balanced. Emotional reassurance is not about giving constant advice. It is about conveying understanding, reliability, and care. In secure love, this process becomes automatic, showing that trust and connection can directly regulate mental activity and reduce the habit of overthinking. Love stabilizes heart rate variability because a trusted partner provides cues of safety and comfort that regulate the autonomic nervous system. Heart rate variability, HRV, measures the balance between sympathetic fight or flight and parasympathetic rest and digest activity. When the brain perceives emotional security, the parasympathetic system is activated, calming the heart and body. Over time, stable love trains the nervous system to remain flexible and resilient, improving HRV and overall cardiovascular health. Physical presence, touch, and consistent emotional support all contribute to this regulation. Couples who share routines, gestures, or co-regulate during stress help each other maintain calm physiological states. Better HRV is associated with lower stress, improved mood, and enhanced emotional regulation. Neuroscience shows that bonding behaviors like gentle touch, eye contact, and shared routines strengthen heart-brain communication, stabilizing physiological responses. In this way, secure relationships improve not only emotional well-being, but also physical health by promoting balance and resilience in the body's most essential rhythms. Stable relationships reduce depression risk because they provide consistent emotional support, predictability, and trust. The brain in secure love experiences regular oxytocin and dopamine reinforcement, which enhances mood and reduces stress. Reliable attachment lowers chronic cortisol levels, which are linked to depression and anxiety. Partners who listen, validate, and provide reassurance create an environment where challenges can be faced without overwhelming fear or isolation. Over time, these experiences shape neural pathways associated with resilience, optimism, and reward. Emotional stability also strengthens problem-solving skills and social confidence, which are protective against depressive symptoms. In contrast, unstable relationships increase unpredictability and stress, making the brain more vulnerable to low mood and hopelessness. Secure love buffers against these risks by creating a constant sense of belonging and value. Neurologically and psychologically, consistent connection provides both comfort and biochemical support, demonstrating that love is a significant protective factor in mental health, reinforcing both emotional and physiological stability. Connection combats chronic stress because strong bonds reduce the brain's perception of threat and buffer the nervous system from overactivation. When someone feels supported and understood, cortisol levels decrease, heart rate stabilizes, and the amygdala responds less strongly to stressors. Emotional and physical closeness signals safety, allowing the parasympathetic system to dominate, promoting calm and recovery. Over time, these interactions strengthen neural pathways associated with resilience, problem-solving, and emotional regulation. Supportive connection also encourages adaptive coping strategies, reducing the likelihood of chronic stress turning into anxiety or health problems. Even small gestures like listening, touch, or shared routines repeatedly reinforce the nervous system's sense of security. Chronic stress is biologically taxing, affecting sleep, immunity, and cardiovascular health, but connection mitigates these effects by creating predictable safety cues. In essence, love is not just comforting. It actively changes how the body and brain respond to stress, making individuals more resilient, balanced, and able to thrive despite life's challenges. Laughter in relationships improves immune function because it triggers the release of endorphins and reduces stress hormones like cortisol. When couples laugh together, the nervous system interprets the moment as safe and enjoyable, which signals the body to relax. This relaxation allows the immune system to work more efficiently, producing more antibodies and activating natural killer cells that defend against illness. Shared laughter also strengthens emotional bonds, releasing oxytocin and reinforcing trust and attachment. Over time, couples who laugh together frequently experience both psychological and physical benefits, from improved mood to reduced susceptibility to sickness. The brain associates these joyful interactions with connection and safety, creating a feedback loop that encourages more positive social behavior. Even small moments of humor or playful teasing can produce measurable immune benefits. In this way, love is not just emotional. It directly enhances health by combining social bonding with physiological improvement, showing the powerful interplay between connection, joy, and the body's defenses. Emotional security reduces insomnia because the brain interprets a reliable partner's presence as a signal of safety. When the nervous system perceives stability, stress hormones like cortisol decrease, allowing melatonin and other sleep-promoting processes to function normally. Secure love reduces nighttime anxiety, overthinking, and hypervigilance, which are common causes of sleeplessness. The body learns to associate the partner with calm, making falling asleep and staying asleep easier. Oxytocin released through touch, conversation, or proximity further promotes relaxation and restorative sleep. Over time, these repeated experiences create strong neural pathways linking emotional safety with sleep readiness. Couples who share routines, comforting gestures, or simply lie together at night reinforce these patterns. Secure love makes the brain anticipate rest instead of alertness during vulnerability, turning sleep into a natural extension of relational stability. Emotional security, therefore, acts as a physiological anchor, improving both quality and duration of sleep while strengthening long-term attachment. Safe love reduces cortisol spikes because the brain perceives a consistent partner as a buffer against threats and stressors. In secure relationships, even stressful events trigger smaller stress responses because the nervous system interprets the partner's presence as protection and support. The amygdala, which drives fear and threat detection, is less reactive, while the prefrontal cortex can regulate emotions effectively. Over time, this repeated pattern creates a nervous system that responds calmly to challenges rather than overreacting. Lower cortisol levels benefit overall health, reducing risk for inflammation, anxiety, and chronic disease. Safe love also reinforces the release of oxytocin, which counteracts cortisol and strengthens attachment. Small, repeated behaviors like attentive listening, gentle touch, or predictable routines continually signal safety to the brain. Neurologically, the body begins to expect protection and stability, making stress less disruptive. In essence, secure love is not just emotionally stabilizing. It actively regulates the body's stress system, promoting health, calm, and resilience. Eventually, love becomes less about excitement and more about peace because the brain and body prioritize stability over constant novelty. Early-stage love triggers intense dopamine spikes, obsession, and heightened arousal. But over time, attachment hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin create a calmer, more sustainable state. The nervous system no longer experiences hyperalertness or constant arousal. Instead, it responds to reliability, safety, and shared connection. Couples begin to value comfort, predictability, and emotional understanding over thrill or intensity. This peaceful state supports cognitive clarity, emotional regulation, and long-term decision-making. The brain integrates experiences of trust, co-regulation, and shared routines, creating a deep sense of contentment. Physical and emotional stress responses are lower, while empathy, patience, and intimacy are strengthened. This shift does not mean passion disappears. It evolves into steady satisfaction, mutual support, and a profound sense of belonging. In essence, mature love transforms from the highs of excitement into the deep, enduring calm of connection, shaping both mind and body for long-term well-being. Mature love feels calm instead of intense because the brain shifts from high arousal, reward circuits to steady, attachment-focused patterns. Early love triggers strong dopamine spikes that create excitement, obsession, and emotional highs and lows. Over time, oxytocin and vasopressin dominate, promoting safety, trust, and long-term connection. The nervous system no longer reacts with constant anxiety or craving. Instead, it interprets the partner's presence as predictable and reliable. Heart rate stabilizes, cortisol decreases, and emotional regulation improves. This calmer state allows people to think more clearly, communicate effectively, and navigate challenges without overreaction. Mature love is less about chasing thrills and more about maintaining stability and comfort. The body and brain learn that steady connection provides ongoing reward and satisfaction, which reduces the need for extreme excitement. This explains why long-term relationships often feel deeply fulfilling without the intense highs and lows of early romance, transforming love into a sustainable, life-supporting force that nurtures both emotional and physiological well-being. Companionship replaces obsession because long-term bonding encourages the brain to value presence, shared experiences, and cooperation over intense desire. In early stages, attraction drives obsessive thoughts and craving, fueled by dopamine spikes and heightened emotional arousal. Over time, the brain shifts focus from chasing novelty to appreciating the steady, reliable presence of the partner. Oxytocin reinforces emotional connection, while repeated positive interactions build relational memory and trust. The nervous system recognizes safety and stability, reducing anxiety and obsessive thinking. Companionship emphasizes shared goals, routines, and support rather than continuous excitement or idealization. This transformation allows partners to experience contentment, satisfaction, and intimacy without needing constant emotional highs. It also improves communication, problem-solving, and patience, as both individuals feel secure in the relationship. Essentially, companionship is the brain's evolved way of maintaining connection without exhausting emotional resources, creating a sustainable, fulfilling form of love that strengthens attachment and emotional well-being over the long term. Emotional predictability creates relaxation because the brain thrives on consistent patterns of behavior and response from a trusted partner. When someone consistently responds with care, understanding, and reliability, the nervous system interprets this as safety, lowering cortisol levels and calming the amygdala. Predictable interactions reduce uncertainty and prevent the overactivation of stress pathways, allowing the prefrontal cortex to focus on problem solving and reflection rather than threat detection. Over time, repeated experiences of predictable emotional responses build relational memory, reinforcing trust and attachment. Even small, consistent behaviors like checking in, responding thoughtfully, or calmly resolving conflicts create ongoing signals of security. Neurologically, the brain associates the partner's presence with stability and comfort, creating a sense of inner peace. This explains why couples in secure, long-term relationships often feel relaxed and content together, even in silence or during mundane daily routines. Emotional predictability turns love into a stabilizing force for both mind and body. Shared history builds emotional depth because repeated experiences over time create layers of relational memory. Every challenge overcome, adventure shared, or milestone celebrated strengthens attachment and reinforces trust. The brain encodes these memories with emotional significance, associating the partner with safety, joy, and resilience. These shared experiences enhance empathy and understanding, allowing partners to anticipate each other's needs and respond effectively. Neurologically, long-term connection strengthens mirror neuron systems, enhancing emotional attunement. Shared history also creates narrative coherence, where the relationship itself becomes a source of meaning and identity. Couples can reflect on past experiences to navigate current challenges, reinforcing problem-solving skills and mutual respect. Over time, this accumulated history produces emotional depth, a sense of intimacy, and a profound understanding of the partner's personality, values, and responses. In essence, long-term love transforms from mere attraction into a rich tapestry of shared memories and emotions, deepening attachment and making the connection resilient, meaningful, and fulfilling. Shared struggles strengthen long-term bonds because facing challenges together teaches the brain that the relationship can withstand stress. When couples navigate difficult situations, financial issues, personal losses, or health challenges. The nervous system learns to rely on the partner's support. Oxytocin and vasopressin are released during cooperative problem solving, reinforcing attachment and trust. Over time, these shared experiences create relational memory, where the brain associates the partner with safety, resilience, and reliability. Facing struggles together also improves communication, empathy, and patience, because both partners must adapt and understand each other to overcome obstacles. Successfully overcoming challenges reinforces confidence in the relationship, creating a sense of "we can handle anything together." This strengthens long-term commitment and emotional depth. Neuroscience shows that repeated cooperative problem-solving changes neural pathways, promoting secure attachment and reducing stress responses in future conflicts. In essence, enduring hardship together converts challenges into opportunities for growth, bonding, and deepening trust, making love more resilient and fulfilling. Love becomes integrated into daily routine because consistent interaction allows the brain to associate ordinary activities with connection and attachment. Small gestures, shared meals, morning coffee, or casual conversations release oxytocin and create patterns of comfort and security. The nervous system begins to anticipate the partner's presence and behavior, which stabilizes emotional responses and reduces stress. Over time, relational memory encodes these routines as part of the couple's shared rhythm, making emotional connection automatic rather than effortful. Integrating love into daily life also strengthens trust, predictability, and satisfaction, as both partners experience repeated signals of care and reliability. Daily routines transform mundane tasks into bonding opportunities, reinforcing attachment and intimacy. Neurologically, these consistent interactions create positive feedback loops, linking ordinary behavior with emotional reward. This shows that long-term love is not only about special moments or passion. It is expressed and maintained through the reliable, repeated patterns of everyday life, building a strong foundation for lasting connection. Comfort becomes more important than novelty because the brain shifts from seeking unpredictable stimulation to valuing stability and safety. Early stage love thrives on excitement, dopamine spikes, and novelty, which trigger obsession and intense emotional highs. Over time, attachment hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin dominate, making security and reliability more rewarding than constant thrills. Emotional and physiological systems adapt to predictability, reducing stress and supporting calm. Comfort allows the brain to relax, focus on problem solving, and build deep emotional connection. It also promotes empathy, patience, and long-term planning, as partners no longer expend energy chasing novelty. Predictable gestures, routines, and shared spaces provide reassurance and reinforce attachment. Neuroscience shows that stable, comforting relationships reduce cortisol, improve sleep, and maintain steady dopamine and oxytocin levels. In essence, mature love values enduring satisfaction over temporary excitement. Comfort becomes the foundation of connection, producing peace, emotional resilience, and long-lasting fulfillment that novelty alone cannot sustain. Long-term partners develop mutual intuition because repeated interaction teaches the brain to anticipate the partner's needs, emotions, and reactions. Through observation, communication, and shared experiences, neural pathways strengthen for predicting behavior. Mirror neurons help partners empathize, while relational memory encodes patterns of response and preference. This intuitive understanding reduces misunderstandings and improves coordination in both daily life and emotional support. Over time, couples can sense moods, anticipate reactions, or recognize unspoken needs, creating a seamless flow and interaction. Co-regulation during stress, shared routines, and consistent communication reinforce this intuition, making responses almost automatic. The nervous system interprets mutual understanding as safety and comfort, further strengthening attachment. Mutual intuition also enhances problem-solving, decision-making, and emotional resilience, because both partners can respond adaptively without constant negotiation. Essentially, long-term love rewires the brain to predict and align with the partner, turning knowledge and empathy into instinctive understanding that deepens connection and makes the relationship more harmonious and secure. Deep love reduces fear of abandonment because the brain learns through repeated experiences that the partner is reliable, attentive, and emotionally present. In early relationships, uncertainty can trigger anxiety and hypervigilance, as the nervous system interprets potential separation as a threat. Over time, consistent care, support, and reassurance create relational memory that the partner will remain available even during challenges. Oxytocin and vasopressin reinforce feelings of attachment and trust, calming the amygdala and reducing stress responses associated with fear of loss. Secure interactions teach the prefrontal cortex to regulate emotions effectively, making worry or obsessive thoughts less automatic. As a result, individuals feel confident in the relationship, allowing for vulnerability, emotional openness, and shared growth. Deep love rewires the nervous system to view connection as stable rather than fragile, which not only reduces anxiety about abandonment, but also encourages patience, empathy, and cooperative behavior. Over time, fear of losing the partner diminishes, creating space for trust, peace, and long-term intimacy. And finally, what makes love last peacefully involves multiple elements that shift the brain and relationship from excitement to stability. Long-term love depends on reliability, trust, and consistent care, which create neurological patterns of calm and satisfaction. The nervous system learns to associate the partner with safety rather than stress or uncertainty. Emotional regulation, mutual support, and shared routines reinforce attachment, while empathy and understanding prevent small conflicts from escalating. Respect, kindness, and cooperation become more rewarding than thrill or passion alone, sustaining connection over decades. Biologically, steady oxytocin and vasopressin release maintain bonding, while cortisol and stress responses remain lower. Relationships that prioritize communication, predictability, and co-regulation during stress are more likely to endure peacefully. In essence, lasting love is less about intensity and more about creating an environment where both partners feel valued, safe, and connected consistently. Peaceful love is a cumulative process of trust, care, and emotional alignment that strengthens over time. Respect matters more than passion because it forms the foundation for long-term stability, trust, and cooperation. Passion may spark intense attraction and excitement, but without respect, relationships are prone to conflict, misunderstanding, and emotional instability. Respect involves honoring the partner's feelings, boundaries, and individuality, which signals safety to the nervous system. Consistent, respectful behavior activates oxytocin pathways and reduces cortisol, promoting calm and attachment. Over time, respect encourages effective communication, emotional regulation, and mutual support, creating conditions for deep intimacy and sustainable connection. Passion alone cannot maintain a relationship, but respect ensures that love remains functional, nurturing, and resilient during challenges. It also reinforces emotional predictability and shared decision-making, reducing anxiety and strengthening attachment. In long-term love, respect becomes the guiding principle that shapes behavior, trust, and co-regulation, allowing both partners to feel secure, valued, and connected even when excitement naturally fluctuates. Small daily kindnesses accumulate because repeated gestures of care and thoughtfulness continuously reinforce attachment and trust. These actions, like preparing a favorite snack, checking in with a gentle message, offering a hug, or sharing a smile, signal attention, reliability, and emotional presence. Neurologically, each kind act releases oxytocin, reducing stress and increasing feelings of bonding. Over time, the brain associates the partner with safety, pleasure, and predictability, strengthening relational memory. Even minor behaviors create a ripple effect, improving mood, communication, and problem-solving in the relationship. The cumulative effect of small kindnesses often outweighs occasional grand gestures because consistency reinforces attachment and stability. Couples who practice daily thoughtfulness report higher satisfaction, emotional intimacy, and resilience to stress. In essence, love is built and maintained through repeated small investments, showing that peace, trust, and deep connection grow not only from passion but from persistent, caring attention that accumulates over time into a strong, enduring bond. Listening prevents emotional distance because it signals to the brain that the partner is present, attentive, and values your thoughts and feelings. When someone actively listens, the nervous system interprets this as safety and validation, lowering stress hormones and fostering oxytocin release. This reduces feelings of isolation or misunderstanding, which are major causes of emotional drift in relationships. Listening also strengthens empathy, allowing each partner to understand the other's perspective more deeply. Over time, consistent attentive listening builds relational memory, reinforcing trust and attachment. Even small acts of focus, like maintaining eye contact, nodding, or responding thoughtfully, communicate that the partner is emotionally available. When both partners practice listening regularly, the relationship develops a rhythm of mutual understanding, preventing the accumulation of unspoken frustrations or distance. Neuroscience shows that the brain rewards attentive listening with pleasure and calm, turning this simple act into a powerful tool for sustaining closeness and intimacy over time. Trust eliminates constant doubt because it teaches the brain that the partner is reliable, predictable, and emotionally consistent. When trust is high, the nervous system perceives the relationship as safe, reducing hypervigilance, anxiety, and unnecessary monitoring of the partner's behavior. Cortisol levels remain lower, and the amygdala responds less to perceived threats or conflicts. Trust is reinforced through repeated experiences of honesty, consistency, and support, creating relational memory that the partner can be depended upon. Over time, this decreases obsessive thoughts, jealousy, and emotional tension, allowing both partners to focus on growth, intimacy, and problem-solving rather than worry. The brain begins to associate the partner with safety and predictability, creating an emotional environment that encourages vulnerability and cooperation. Essentially, trust replaces doubt with confidence, making the relationship more stable, resilient, and fulfilling. It is a neurological and emotional anchor that strengthens love's foundation. Emotional repair is more important than perfection because relationships naturally face mistakes, misunderstandings, and conflict. The brain prioritizes resolution and restoration over flawless behavior because attachment is strengthened through repair. When partners acknowledge mistakes, express empathy, and restore emotional balance, oxytocin is released, cortisol decreases, and relational memory encodes patterns of reliability and care. Perfection is unrealistic and can create stress, but consistent repair teaches the nervous system that emotional security can be regained even after disruptions. This builds resilience, mutual understanding, and deeper trust. Repeated repair also improves communication skills, empathy, and patience. Couples who focus on fixing emotional ruptures rather than judging perfection are more likely to maintain connection and satisfaction. Neuroscience shows that repair experiences strengthen attachment networks, making the brain associate mistakes with growth rather than threat. Ultimately, love thrives not because everything is perfect, but because partners are committed to restoring closeness, demonstrating care, and maintaining connection through challenges. Shared values stabilize relationships because they create a predictable framework for decision-making, behavior, and long-term goals. When partners prioritize similar principles, such as honesty, family, work ethic, or lifestyle preferences, the brain interprets alignment as safety and reliability. This reduces conflict, uncertainty, and stress responses while promoting cooperation and understanding. Shared values also guide problem solving, communication, and mutual planning, allowing couples to navigate challenges without constant negotiation or doubt. Relational memory encodes these patterns, reinforcing trust and attachment over time. Even when emotional highs fluctuate, shared values provide a stable foundation that supports connection and mutual respect. Neuroscience shows that alignment in goals and principles reduces amygdala activation during disagreements and promotes parasympathetic regulation, increasing calm and satisfaction. In essence, shared values act as a structural backbone for long-term love, making it easier to maintain intimacy, make decisions together, and build a life that feels coherent, secure, and mutually fulfilling. Consistency builds lifelong security because repeated, reliable actions from a partner teach the brain that the relationship is stable and trustworthy. When someone consistently shows care, attention, and support, the nervous system interprets this as safety, lowering cortisol levels and calming the amygdala. Over time, relational memory strengthens, creating neural pathways that associate the partner's presence with predictability and reassurance. This stability allows individuals to be vulnerable, take emotional risks, and invest fully in the relationship without fear of abandonment. Small daily routines, regular communication, and dependable responses reinforce this sense of security. Even during conflicts or stressful periods, consistent behavior reassures the brain that attachment will endure. Neuroscience shows that these patterns enhance long-term bonding, reduce anxiety, and improve emotional regulation. In essence, consistency transforms love from a fluctuating emotional experience into a steady, life-supporting foundation, giving both partners confidence, peace, and the ability to face life together with trust and resilience. Love evolves instead of fading because the brain and nervous system adapt to the stages of a relationship. Early-stage love is fueled by novelty, intense dopamine spikes, and obsession, which naturally diminish over time. As the relationship matures, attachment hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin dominate, promoting calm, stability, and long-term bonding. Emotional intimacy deepens, shared routines create comfort, and mutual understanding grows, shifting the focus from fleeting excitement to sustainable connection. Challenges, successes, and shared experiences strengthen relational memory, making the love richer, more predictable, and resilient. Rather than disappearing, love transforms. Intensity is replaced by trust, safety, and cooperation, while connection deepens with shared history and empathy. Couples learn to communicate better, support each other during stress, and co-regulate emotions. Neurologically, this evolution ensures that attachment remains strong even as passion fluctuates. Mature love thrives on adaptability, understanding, and shared life, proving that love does not fade. It simply changes into something more enduring and meaningful. Peaceful love supports healthy aging because secure, consistent relationships reduce stress, improve emotional regulation, and promote overall well-being. Oxytocin release, co-regulation, and reliable companionship lower cortisol levels, which helps protect cardiovascular health, immune function, and cognitive performance over time. Long-term attachment also encourages healthy behaviors, such as regular meals, exercise, and sleep routines, while reducing anxiety and depression risk. The nervous system learns to remain calm in the presence of a trusted partner, decreasing chronic stress that can accelerate aging processes. Emotional stability improves resilience to life challenges, enhances problem solving, and maintains motivation and engagement in daily activities. Neurologically, secure relationships stimulate reward pathways and reinforce patterns of connection, satisfaction, and safety, which protect the brain from age-related decline. In essence, love that is steady and reliable becomes a buffer against physical and mental wear, supporting longevity, vitality, and emotional richness throughout life. The most relaxing kind of love is not dramatic. It is steady, safe, and quietly powerful because it provides consistent security, trust, and connection without constant highs and lows. Dramatic love may feel exciting, but it activates stress pathways and creates emotional volatility. In contrast, calm love allows the nervous system to rest, promotes oxytocin and vasopressin release, and maintains low cortisol levels, creating both emotional and physical balance. This love values reliability, empathy, small daily kindnesses, and mutual understanding over intense passion or spectacle. It integrates into daily life, supports problem solving, and co-regulates emotions during stress. Partners in this kind of love can be vulnerable, comfortable in silence, and confident in the enduring nature of their connection. Neurologically, it stabilizes reward systems, strengthens attachment, and fosters emotional resilience. Ultimately, the most fulfilling love is not measured by fireworks but by peace, trust, and consistent care, showing that quiet, steady affection is the kind that nourishes the heart and mind for a lifetime.